YouTube, hey, and welcome back to another video. Now, psychology, without it, without discipline with it, without nailing it consistently, every trading week, every trading day, every trade you take, you will not have a long-term edge. It is as simple as that. Your statistical, your strategic edge only works if your psychology is there to implement it, to manage it properly, pre-trade, during trade, post-trade, everything in between. So, there's a few there's a few psychological tips today that I want you to just listen to. I want you to have a look at and start thinking about implementing them and changing the way you look at trades. So number one is, you're looking at a trade, you're looking at about to execute on it. And the first thing, and hear me out with this, is it a optimal setup? The answer should always be yes. So once you can guarantee that it meets your criteria, it's your optimal setup you're about to execute, from a psychological perspective, crikey, you're going to get sick of me doing that tonight. From a psychological perspective, you want to be looking at that trade not from a case of is this going to win or lose, but from a case of if this goes against me and I'm wrong, and you take full self-accountability as always, if this goes against me, is it taking me out for genuinely 1% or whatever your risk parameters are? It should never be more than 1% in my eyes, but it might be 0.5%, for example. The second then mindset and thought should be, if this goes onto my targets, my desired targets, is it taking me out for at least a 3% gain? And yes, as you know by now, if you've watched any of my videos, a minimum 1 to 3 is what I take on every single trade. The reason for this I've gone into in other videos, but there's multiple reasons. It's to do with long-term consistency, long-term profitability. It allows for losing trades. I could go on and on and on why a 1 to 3 is most optimal, and it's what I trade to this day. And ultimately, January, it's the 1st of February today, but January finished yesterday. I finished 6.4% up for the month. It's a great start to the month, and it's my 13th now consecutive profitable month, okay? So it really does just go to show a 1 to 3 does work. So, because a lot of people look at traders, or look at their trades, should I say, and think, is this going to be a winner or a loser? No, don't focus on the outcome. Focus on the risk management of it. Focus on how much you may lose. Focus on how much, again, percentage-wise. Do not think in numerical values, monetary values. Think in percentage gain. It will really help with emotional control. So that's the first thing. Because at the end of the day, the market is going to do what it's going to do. You're either going to, it's either going to make money or you're going to lose money on that trade. Okay? So the second thing psychology-wise is, it doesn't matter if you have a losing day. It doesn't even matter if you have a losing week. What matters is that you are consistently profitable month by month and quarter by quarter. Now, what I mean by this is, a lot of traders will place too much emotional weighting on daily P&L and weekly P&L. January, that I've just had, that I finished 6.4% up in, I had 2 losing weeks, I believe. It may even been a 3rd losing week, but I had 2 losing weeks at least. So it just goes to show, again, don't focus on the days or the weeks. Focus on the end monthly and quarterly outcome, okay? It will take a hell of a lot of emotional stress off you. It will make you think with a lot more clarity instead of worrying about the losing week you've just had and carrying it over into the next week, and then it spills over and it's a negative spiral. Focus on what your monthly P&L and your quarterly P&L is, because then that will take care of your yearly P&L and so on and so on, okay? So I cannot stress that enough. I really, really cannot stress that enough, because it will massively help you control your emotions, and it will allow you to be a lot more level-headed instead of being very erratic after a losing week, or on the flip side, very erratic after a winning week. Because people can tilt for the worse. People can tilt after having a profitable week as well, because they're high, their confidence is brilliant, and it's not good. It really isn't good, because then they become overconfident, they over-leverage, they overtrade, whatever it is. It'll be one of those few things, and then they'll go onto a losing streak. So it's so important. You think in percentage of gains, quality over quantity. Every trade you take, and I guess this would be my 3rd tip, every trade you take should be a optimal setup, because optimal trades will win and optimal trades will lose, okay? If you're taking a trade that falls out of that optimal bracket, that is highly likely going to end up in a losing trade. Highly likely. Which again, sends you down that negative psychological pathway, should I say, and leads to, again, overtrading, losses, and your monthly P&L ends up taking a huge hit. Psychology, so many people, this is the thing that lets them down. And this is why at least half of my one-to-one intensive sessions are focused on the psychological aspect, okay? Because the system, you can have the best system in the world, as I've said, but if you cannot manage it emotionally, you cannot manage it in terms of the way you execute it consistently, then you don't have an edge. You only have an edge if you can be very, very strict with it and execute it exactly as you should be every single time. I saw a video that came up in my feed the other week from a big name in the space, shall we say, in the trading space. And I question whether he's profitable at all and whether he's just probably a very good marketer. But he was saying he follows his rules 80 to 90% of the time. But he'll allow him to break his rules 10, 15, 20% of the time. And I think, what on earth are you trying to preach? That is the worst message that you could preach. It needs to be 100% of the time. And this is why very disciplined individuals in their personal life make fantastic traders, okay? Because they come hand in hand. I find again, and I say this again to my mentees, you need to make sure personal life is absolutely strictly disciplined. So you train regularly, you eat well regularly, you look after your health. Because if you look after your physical health, you look after your mental health. And they come hand in hand again. Both go in hand with one another. And if you can nail those things, then again, it makes trading a lot more stress-free. You've got a lot more emotional control, a lot more emotional discipline when it comes to decision-making, when it comes to reacting, or should I say not reacting, to losing trades or losing weeks. That ultimately sends traders on a tilt and ruins their monthly or quarterly P&L. So guys, I hope that helps. I try not to ramble too much. I just like speaking as I go and just speaking naturally. I don't script any of these videos. I just speak from experience, and I hopefully that, anything that I drop in these videos is valuable to you and you can take some valuable advice from it. So as always, guys, I hope that helps, and I appreciate every single one of you watching these videos. So thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys.